Well, today we have Stacy Coy, who is one of our reviewing principal brokers up in the north. So she's based out of Sunset Corridor in Portland, but covers Salem as well. And she is a wealth of knowledge. She has a background in teaching, so she'll be able to really get this information to you guys well. Open houses is something she's excited about teaching, and it's something that you guys all are doing or should be doing. So it'll be great to learn from her and elevate. Definitely ask tons of questions, engage, and I will let her take it away.
Thanks, Mara. Okay, I am super excited about this because open houses are one of the best ways to build your business when you're new for like the smallest impact into your wallet. So like I love the ability to be able to jump right in and get yourself in front of people who are clients right away and do that. So we're just going to jump right in. I need you guys to tell me if this is working. If I click over here, can you see my screen where it says Ignite? Or did I do the screen share wrong?
Can't see it yet, so go ahead and try.
Okay, well then let me do it this way.
There you go.
All right, now you guys can all see me?
Yeah.
Okay, and then if I switch it over here to slideshow, you guys are all still able to see, yes?
Yes.
Yay. Okay. I am going to try to touch base and see if there's anybody else who pops in. So I may toggle back and forth, but just let me know if you need me to slow down at all as we go through this process. Okay. So let's just jump right in because I want to not waste your time and I want it to be a good use of your time. We guys just talked about lead generation, super important, necessary, actively seeking leads all the time is what's going to build your business and make it amazing. So today we're going to talk about capturing leads with open houses. And we're going to talk about within that best practices, how we can like move forward with this. We're going to describe the benefits of holding an open house and the best practices to use when you do them, and then being prepared to hold one. And then we also want you to start thinking about what you've learned today, and we'll go from there. So I really encourage you to pipe up if you have questions. Let me know if you need me to repeat anything. I know that I have a tendency to talk pretty quickly. So if I'm going through something pretty fast, let me know so that way I can slow down and explain it more in detail. All right, so here we go. Anybody want to volunteer to read this quote for us to start us off?
I can do it.
Okay, great, thanks.
Aisha, it doesn't matter. You want to do it. Nothing else about your business will have as big an impact on it as the number of leads you have.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for sharing that. Why do you think that we would begin this session with this quote?
Because you're gonna, well, if it goes well, you might generate some leads by having an open house.
There you go. There you go. Yep. Anyone else?
I guess I'll go on ahead.
If there's no leads, there's no business.
There you go. That's a good one. Good one. Anyone else? Was that you, Santosh, who was going to say something?
I was, but I think it's been covered by everyone. So
okay. Yeah, guys, your number one job, literally when it boils down to it, is to gain leads. And one way that you impact the number of leads you have is by holding open houses. It's the purpose or the goal of an open house is to gain a lead, right? We hold open houses so that we can, sell the house, right? That's a big part of it. But then it's also to capture the leads so that you can leave with some business. So as a new agents, they are easy, fun, low-cost way to get in touch with buyers and sometimes sellers. Your goal is not only to sell the home, but it's to put yourself in the path of opportunity. That's the business opportunity to meet people and add to your database and set appointments, especially with those buyers that are interested. Many agents holding open houses is their number one way of building a strong business, and it can be yours too. And so there are proven models that we'll talk about today. And sometimes other visitors may not be actively looking to buy or sell, but a favorable impression can generate referrals now and business farther down the road. I kid you not, I had somebody I met in one of my very first open houses that I hosted became a client 4 years later. And so if it doesn't happen now, it does happen eventually. So don't give up on the leads that you gain from those open houses. They lead to business eventually. Okay, so since we're talking about open houses today, it's important to know before engaging in in-person activities to check your rules regarding COVID, talk to your realtor association for best practices, and do things like that. I do want to talk to you guys a little bit about when I hosted open houses. So I had a goal year 2. So year 1 was just about like, how do I real estate? And then in year 2, I got really intentional and specific about using open houses as one of my legs of lead generation. We always try to diversify so that you're not just cued into just one type of way of lead generation. But for me, open houses was one of my legs of lead generation. And it led to the majority of my business, not in just that year that I really focused on it, but in the subsequent years. It got to the point where my accountability partner and I was like, oh, I have this new lead. I'm touring buyers. And they're like, well, let me guess, did it come from an open house? And I'm like, yeah, it did. So it always happens that whatever you're focusing on is going to expand if you're doing it in a way that is systematic and intentional. And for me, open houses was that way. I set a goal for myself to cover 52 open houses within a year. And I hit that goal. And as a result of it, my business just expanded and in a very, very significant way. So I would encourage you guys to consider hosting open houses if it hasn't been one of the things that you can, or one of the things that you've done yet, but it is a great way of doing business. Okay, just checking to make sure nobody else is popping in. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, sometimes we have limiting beliefs. We always need to check our mindset, right? And so let's talk a little bit about some of these limiting beliefs that can sometimes hold us back from reaching our full potential. So anybody have any limiting beliefs about holding open houses that you want to share? Things that you think might be, well, just what your perspective is about open houses?
I do.
Okay, go for it.
So when I host an open house, one of my limiting beliefs is like, oh, they don't want my contact information, or, oh, no, they don't want to give me their contact information. Because when I hosted open houses, yeah, they didn't want to give me their contact information or have mine. So
got it. So the limiting belief for you was the inability to get somebody's contact information. Yeah, basically. So can I just debunk that right now? Something that you can do to help bring that down is to approach open houses with the mentality of don't approach it with, I need to get their contact information. Approach the open house as in, I need to provide value to whoever walks through that door. And when you do that, your mindset shifts. People are less on guard, and they are able to you're focusing on what the client needs in the moment, and they're going to cue into that, and they will be much more open to share that contact information because you're going to be able to develop trust and rapport a little bit better. So maybe just shifting the goal in your mind. I mean, obviously the goal always is to secure, getting contact information so that you can do the systems of following up. But if you approach it instead of like, I must get your contact information, which can put some people on guard, approaching it in a way where you're like, all right, I'm here to provide value. So what does that look like for this person, even if they're already working with an agent? Because I've had some people who've been working with another agent and I start providing value to them just because I made it a promise to myself that whoever walked through that door, I would provide them value in whatever way it looked like, regardless of whether or not they were working with somebody. And, you know, they were like, well, we were working with somebody, but we really like that you are able to show us this. Nobody's ever explained that to us before. And then they switched and they started working with me. So, so know that you don't have to be held back by that a little bit. So anyone else want to share their limiting beliefs?
Me.
Okay, go for it.
Because I am new. I'm new with everything here. I don't know the area. I don't know the language too well. And it just someone asked me like, oh, so how many houses have you sold? Or how many years have you been in the business for? And then I was just like, I couldn't lie. So I was just like, okay, to be honest, I'm new, but I have a partner. She's been here for 20 plus years and I have the whole team, our agent at Keller Williams. So, and something that I have to be better at, like my skill, I feel like if I know better, like if I know more, I'll be more confident. And that's my vulnerable part.
So your limiting belief is like thinking that you don't have enough experience to be able to help a client, basically. Is that what you're saying? Okay. So yeah, I can understand that. When you're new, you don't know what you don't know, right? And you're probably feeling pretty overwhelmed with having to learn everything right away. But the cool thing is that you have people like you were just talking about. I think you were referring to Jennifer, right? Because she's the person who is overseeing you, who is able to have all of that experience and who's guiding you. And so you can definitely respond with, you know, like, well, my team is able to, you know, a collective years of experience being X number of years, right? And because she's technically your team lead as being in the PC program, so you can phrase it that way, which is not necessarily deceptive because you are able to gather all that information, and it's also important for you to know that sometimes if you don't know the answer to a question, you can say, I don't know what that is, but I can find out for you. And I'm happy to get back to you with that. There's nothing wrong with saying those words. They're very trust building, actually. All right. Anybody else have any limiting beliefs that they would be open to share? Thanks so much for sharing those things, guys. I know it can sometimes be vulnerable to open up about what you're kind of worried about, but I appreciate it because it benefits everybody. Okay, well, if nobody has any, what I'm going to do is I'll just go down this list of some of the common ones. Some people think, well, I can't really hold an open because I don't have any listings. That's not necessarily true because we have access in our market center because you can host for anybody within our market center or any of, you know, anybody within the Experience Brokerage Network if you have the permission, if it's outside your market center, to host or hold an open for those people. And so we have access to a great amount of other agents in our market center to do that, right? So you can get in touch with them. You can respond to those emails that go out asking if there's anybody who'd be willing to host for their opens. And that's something that can be done. Some people might have the limiting belief, well, I don't have any signs yet. That's okay, because sometimes your market center has some available for you. I know if you're in the PC programs, the PC coaches have some available to borrow. You can even ask the listing agent that you're hosting the open house for if you can borrow their listing signs. And I'm sure they would be more than happy to share them with you because it, again, is exposure to their name. So, so there's lots of ways that you can go against that one. You could also say another limiting belief. I may not know the answers to questions that visitors have. You know, you may not know everything, but you can do a fair amount ahead of time to prepare. And we'll talk about what that looks like ahead of time. And you can also, like I said, say, I don't know, but I will find out for you. That's an okay thing to do too. Open houses don't work because most people look online. So yes, buyers and neighbors will actually look online to see things that are out there, but being at an open house provides you direct access to people who really want to buy a home, right? Those people who are going to open houses are there for a reason because they're looking for something and they're looking to buy a home. And so it's a great way of getting exposure to other people. And the last limiting belief is I won't feel safe. That's a very valid point, and we'll talk about some strategies about that today. But you can partner up. You can host with a lender partner or a title company partner. I mean, there's lots of things that can be done to help you feel safe, and we'll talk about what all that looks like in a bit. So anyway, any questions real quick before we move on to the next?
I have a question.
Okay.
So in my neighborhood, I can see that there are a few listings that are available, and those are from Keller Williams because of the board. I can check that. So is that a right way to connect to the listing agent, that I am available over the weekdays also if you want me to do any open house?
Sure. Yeah.
Do they
Contacting agents
feel good about
directly
that?
shows initiative. Yeah.
Okay. So do they feel good about that, or it's not a right way until and unless they send an email that we are looking for agents to do open house? Yes.
So you're saying that you are looking for different ideas on how to connect? Is that what I heard you say?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, we'll talk about that because there are some strategies that we can get into about that. And if it's not covered in the material, which I'm 100% positive it is, touch me again at the end, and I'll retouch on that. Okay. Here is a question: should every house be held open? What do you guys think? Show me with your thumbs. Yes, no, maybe. Maybe.
I don't think so. Probably depend on how the sellers feel about it.
Very, very good point. That's right. Yeah, so sometimes a seller specifically says they don't want to have an open house held, and they could make that determination for any number of reasons, but you always have to defer to what the sellers want. Some sellers are not agreeable to decluttering or cleaning up or sanitizing, so sometimes the house isn't really going to show well. Those would not be good opportunities for open houses. Sometimes it's not necessary to show like in a seller's market where there's going to be immediate multiple offers and it's going to go quickly. Like that may not be a good time to host an open house, right? Because it's going to go quickly. Sometimes if there's a pandemic like COVID, not really a necessary time to show a house because it could be unsafe for a lot of people medically. So those are some of the examples of times where we wouldn't really do it. And kind of what Logan was touching on a little bit earlier, when Logan was talking about, like I'm hesitant to hold this open house because it wasn't a really beneficial use of my time. Maybe that's not an open that he wants to hold again for that reason, right? You can be selective about the types of opens that you hold. So that way you're more likely to come in contact with other people. All right. So I'm going to go to the next slide. Capture leads with open houses. Okay, so we know that the two main goals for open houses are to sell houses and to generate leads. Who does the open house benefit? Who benefits?
The listing agent and also the buyer agent.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that attend.
Yep. And
the seller.
Yep. And
the people involved in the transaction. Yes.
Yeah, maybe. And you guys are a big beneficiary of open houses because it will fill your pipeline with buyers and or possibly sellers, right? So so sellers, the way that they benefit from an open house is it shows the house to a lot of potential buyers and all at one time so that they don't have to be out for like a vast number of times. And it's a way of them to get high exposure for their home. For buyers, the way that they benefit is that they get to see houses without obligation. That is, without being qualified. That means that they can research houses. Did you know that there's a NAR statistic that 51% of buyers research through open houses? That means that 51% of the people who are going to buy will go to open houses as they're figuring out what they want. That's 51% of people, guys, that are available through open houses that you can get in touch with. It's pretty great numbers there. Okay, neighbors benefit because they get to see how their home compares to the one that's listed in the price and the conditions. So you'll almost always have looky-loos that come in from the neighborhood. And then you benefit because you get to capture the leads of potential buyers, other sellers, and future buyers and sellers. You can connect with the neighborhood prior to the event. You can place signs with your name throughout the neighborhood. That means that you get exposure to having your name out there. And it provides you a huge way of practicing conversations, answering questions, and providing value. Think of it like a script practice or a dialogue practice every single time that you're conversing with somebody. If it doesn't go well with one person and you make a mistake, oh, well, guess what? There's going to be other people that come through the open house. And the next time that you do that, you can refine what you're talking about. So it's a great practice thing. Okay. All right. So open houses allow for both prospecting based on marketing, and it also allows for lead generation. Any questions about that, guys? Yep. Okay, moving on then. Benefits of open houses. Here are some great benefits. One of the primary ones is that they're relatively inexpensive to host. Sometimes that open houses don't cost much. They require a significant time investment. And as a newer agent, that is something that you guys mostly have a lot of, right? You're not bogged down with a bunch of business right now. So it is a good time for you to invest time of being able to go and do an open house. Okay. Open houses are also a very useful prospecting tool for lead generation. That's a way to meet buyers, sellers, and other agents as well. Potential clients the agents meet at open houses can be quickly qualified as leads. The main thing that you invest in when you're preparing an open house is time. So the return on the investment can be tremendous. You can generate leads, qualify leads, and potentially get a closed deal by doing the open house. So it has a high ROI. ROI stands for return on investment. That means that what you put into it, you get a high yield out of it. And then it also, qualified leads are important because it gives the participants opportunities to get face-to-face and build meaningful relationships. So what types of leads are you most likely to get from open houses? What do you guys think? What are the types of leads that you're most likely going to get? Are you going to get more? Let me ask it this way. Going to get more sellers or more buyers?
Buyers.
Buyers.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, usually when you host opens, the majority of the people that you're meeting will be buyers. Occasionally, you'll get to meet some sellers as well. And sometimes a buyer can be a seller also. So, but the good news is that you're going to be exposed to people who are wanting to move forward with the home buying process. Okay, so let's talk a bit about if there's any ahas from this section. Anybody want to weigh in on anything that might have been different or new for you that you didn't know before?
I wrote mine in the chat. You had mentioned about having your name on the open house signs, but when I had mine made, I didn't put my name on there because I was afraid to, because the listings aren't mine, and I wondered if there were rules about that.
There are no rules when it comes to open houses like that. So the point is that you're not so the rule is that you're not supposed to be passing off the listing as your own, right? So one of the first things that I tell people who come into my open houses that I'm hosting that are not my listing is I'll say, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I'm not the listing agent, but I am able to help with anything that you need there. And so I let them know that it's not my listing. And it's also letting them know that I'm not the like end all authority on that house, right? That lets them know that that if they have any questions, I can certainly find that out from the listing agent. So there are no restrictions about having your names on your signs that are leading to your open house. I mean, I would say there would be restrictions if you're putting a post in the yard that says your name, but that takes days to install and money. And so that's not something that you need to worry about. And if you ordered signs without your name on it, you can always order stickers that go onto those signs. So Buzz White is a good way of getting stickers for a really affordable price. Little tidbit there, Buzz White.
So when you sign up on one of these, like you get an email and it says, are you willing to do an open house?
Yeah.
You bring your own signs to do that.
Yeah, we have these things called, they're the little A-frame ones, right? So they fold flat and then they open it up and you can place them. They're just like temporary placements that with the arrows that lead to where your open house is going to be hosted. I only have 4, and that has always been adequate for whenever I host an open house, because you want to try to direct it from all entrances into the neighborhood, right? And if you have it too far out, then people are going to miss it. But you always try to link it into a busy road so that way people can follow. And I also have a flag. So one Christmas I said, I'm just starting. I have a goal of hosting open houses. Anybody want to give me an open house flag for Christmas? And one of my family members did. And it was great. It was like just this little thing that collapses down nice and small. But then when it's ready, it's this little pole and boop. So I have this beautiful open house flag that just waves in the wind. Highly recommend. Yeah. So I've got my flag and my 4 signs and that works. So that's the initial investment, is usually just getting little bits of things that like the signs, but again, they're available for borrowing if you need to. And some people who might be leaving the business might be willing to sell those for cheap or give them away. I've seen that occasionally too. So just keep your eyes open. Yeah, people who might be retiring would want to move on with that. Okay. Did that answer your question, Carrie? Is it Carrie or Kari?
Carrie.
Carrie.
Yeah,
okay.
it did. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course, of course. Any other ahas from that last section before we move on? All right, let's go on then. All right, so let's talk about some of the best practices when you are doing an open house. So be purposeful, not entrepreneurial. So when we are thinking about our mindsets, before you open house, set concrete and achievable goals. For example, tell yourself your goal is to add 6 people to your database. Your goal is to set a goal that's achievable and will require a lot of work, because if you set attainable and difficult goals, that will help maximize the participants' return on investment. What are some other goals that could be useful for you to set before you host an open house? Anybody have one?
Just at least talk to one person each open house.
I couldn't hear what you said.
Hello?
What'd you say, Bo?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, I said I'm just so far trying to at least talk to one person, or like one lead. One person, I'll be happy. Success.
So your goal in hosting an open house is to talk to one person.
Yeah, one lead.
That's
at
an
least.
achievable goal. Yes. Achievable, attainable. Yes. You may want to like bump it up just a little bit, right? I would say 1's a little low, but yeah, you can bump it up.
Well, I want more, but I mean, if I have one, then I'm happy.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else have any other ideas about some other goals that could be useful?
To invite people to it. and
Oh.
like door knock, or even if I know people in the area, to invite them to it.
Mm-hmm. Posting on social media, that's a super helpful way of doing it too, right? To say, hey, I'm holding an open house this date, this time, come and visit me. Doing a Facebook Live. Here I am at this beautiful at this open house. Come join me at this, time, place, blah blah blah. That's a good way of doing it too. Sorry, I'm giving all the answers. I'm supposed to let you guys give the answers. Go ahead.
Calling your own sphere to see that what kind of open houses you are conducting and how much knowledge you can share it with them.
Mm-hmm.
They really check your confidence, how you deal with the listings.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's
yeah.
true.
A friend of mine posted to Facebook, like took a picture of me in front of the table I had set up, just saying that I was hosting an open house who's friends with people in the area. So I hadn't thought of it, and I think that can be kind of a nice way where it doesn't look like, I don't know,
Mhm.
like self-promotion, I guess, when they're like, my friend's doing this, come see her, or whatever.
Definitely. Yeah, so goals can be as like a really good way, because sometimes you can't control, like Logan was saying, he hosted an open house and only one person came through. Sometimes you can't control how many people come through. You can do your best efforts in advertising, in door knocking, and doing all the things, and you may not have people come through for whatever reason. Like there might be a parade going on in another part of town and everybody's there and you didn't know that that was happening, and your open house is crickets. So you can't really control everything. You can put your best effort forward, but you can always have a goal of, well, if it didn't work this time, then it will next time, right? And if my goal was to hit 3 conversations and that didn't happen at this one, that just means that I have to host another open house until I hit those 3 conversations, right? Because eventually, if you're playing the numbers right, you will reach those goals if you're consistent and you keep doing it and you better yourself every time that you're doing it. It's going to lead to mastery because you're practicing it over and over and over again. So make sure that you're setting goals that are going to lead to the outcome that you want it to lead to. Okay, let's talk about the next thing. All right, think about your market numbers. Picking the house is a crucial part in the open house process. It's important to look for a great and visible location, preferably not more than 3 turns from a major road. So that's one way of doing it. Once you've chosen the house, you need to get familiar with the neighborhood. You should already be doing this as part of your strategy to connect with your market. How do you guys get familiar with a neighborhood as you're leading up to the open house? Anybody have any suggestions on what you can use?
You mean what kind of house?
Yeah, no, what type of material can you use so that you can get familiar with the neighborhood?
TMO reports.
Oh my gosh, thanks for saying that, Santosh. Every week you are sent TMO reports. That's a total market overview. It comes in your email and you can refine it all the way down into your little market area, right? That neighborhood, that area, you can do some research that is going to lead you to the data that you need for the open house. I would even go so far as to print up that total market overview for the week. It is an excellent tool to use when you're in an open house. I have gained many a client because I'm speaking the language of data to people where data is really important. And we live in an area with a lot of engineers, and engineers love their data. So make sure that you are well prepared with the data and know how to talk them through a total market overview. Especially of note is the list to sales ratio column. I would recommend that you get really familiar with that, because seeing the total market overview allows you to get into the nitty gritty about the data. So make sure that you are taking those total market overviews with you. Good suggestion. Anyone else? Another thing that you can take with you to or utilize so that you get familiar with what's going on in the market in that area, in that neighborhood.
School.
Oh yeah, knowing the schools. Absolutely. That's luckily on all of our listings, right? They have the little schools thing, but becoming familiar with what that is, because you know it's probably going to be a question that's asked by people who come in. What else?
Your
You guys-
RPR reports of market analysis of that house.
Yeah, pulling those stats and data from the market analysis. So our RMLS, I don't know if you guys in the South use RMLS, but your MLS system usually has access to a market action report, which tells you what's going on in your area. And those are released on a monthly basis. So having access to that really is a helpful way. I even have one printed, and then every month I would update it because I'm like, oh, new month, new data, and that I can use to talk through. Mm-hmm. Another thing you guys can do to prepare for your open houses when you're looking at choosing the house is looking at what's close, like near shopping centers, grocery stores, architecture, coffee shops. You don't have to pick the most expensive house or the least expensive house on the market, but you do need to know a little bit about the area. I would also pull up like what's sold in the area recently, because you know people are going to come in and be like, you know, that house right around the corner that sold for blah blah blah. You want to be like, yes, I know, the one on 123 Main Street. Awesome. Then you can talk a little bit about them. So get to know the neighborhood of the house that you are hosting an open house for. So that's part of the preparation as you're getting ready. You should also know what the average prices are in the neighborhood, in that market, and make sure that you are choosing the house based on that, right? If you're going to be hosting like $1 million+ homes, you probably are going to get a different price point than people who are like brand new first-time home buyers in the lower price points. So no, if your goal of an open house is to generate and qualify leads, what other things do you think we need to think about before we pick a home for the open house? Any other ideas? No? All right, I'll give you the answer. Prepare and practice. Yay. Consider inviting a speaker such as an inspector or a lender to help you be in the open house with you. Before you host an open house, prepare a list of questions you might be asked and practice your conversation starters. Your family members are great people to practice on. Your dog is a great person to practice on too. I mean, because they love you and they'll look at you with happy eyes because you're talking to them. But the point is, get somebody to practice with so that you can go through and plan out how to say something. Some questions that you might face that's going to test the knowledge of the house in your market. Like, think about what you would want to know when going into a house. You know, potential clients might ask why the house is for sale, when the home was last renovated, if the home has any structural issues, how long it's been on the market. That's a big one. All of that is ways that that you can know and anticipate questions that might be coming. Those of you who have hosted open houses, any of those questions hit for you? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, almost everyone asked how long it had been on the market.
Mm-hmm. It's an important question that buyers want to know.
And do you have any offer on this house yet?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they asked that.
Yep. Excellent.
And roof, when the roof got replaced, when this roof got replaced, these kind of questions they'll ask.
Mm-hmm. True.
I have someone ask a question like, oh, like what would be included like with the house, but it's like more in the details. So sometimes I don't know.
Yeah, and then you say, that is a very good question. You're the first person to ask that question for me. Like, work it into a like compliment for them. Like, way to like be proactive. You stumped me, but let me text the listing agent and I'll find out for you.
You sounds great.
Yeah.
with the older home, they had asked me if the electrical had been updated.
That's a good question. Yeah, you might also get questions like, what is the age of the furnace? What's the age of the hot water heater? We get those a lot. Those are fun,
Yeah.
especially when they're not obvious on the hot water heater or the furnace.
One more question came for my last open house was, he was an investor, so he wanted to know if he gets this house and how much the rent would be in this area.
Ooh, that's a really good question. I wouldn't be able to answer that one unless I had done some research, right? And if it's in a condo, there might be limitations. So you'd want to make sure that you research that and found out and then get back to them, right? Follow up is an important thing with buyers. They want to know that you're willing to follow up with them. Okay.
Stacy,
Sometimes, yeah.
I was just going to add, a lot of times they want to know the HOA. Is there an
Mhm.
HOA? How involved is it? What does it cover? You know, those kind of things.
Restrictions.
What are the restrictions? Yeah.
Yeah. Can I raise the fence height? Is my RV going to be okay? You know, all the things. Mhm. All right. Sometimes if you have a visitor with you, like a lender or an inspector, they can help facilitate questions or conversations and answer questions for the people. Best practice during an open house, have the visitors sign in upon the arrival. Some agents make this a requirement, stating it even as a safety measure. I've never let people come into my open without having some sort of signature in there. You can even ask them to leave something of value while they tour the home, like their car keys or driver's license. Again, safety measure. Explain to the participants that setting up a sign-in station allows them to capture leads that they can follow up on later. Once you've captured their contact information, you'll have plenty of opportunities to wow them with your technology and your expertise after the event. But your goal when you're there is to try to make a connection. If you don't use a sign-in sheet, what are some other ways that you can access the information of the leads that come through? How can you get it if you don't have a sign-in sheet? Anybody have some suggestions or some ideas on how to do that?
Maybe the electron or the text business card. Like if they want your information, you can say, oh, what's your name and number, and I'll shoot you my business card. I've heard people say I did the sign-in sheet. It's easy for me, but it might not be for others.
True.
Last time, yeah, in my last open house, I said I can send you some market review reports or TMO reports of this area. So if you can give me your email ID, I will definitely format that reports and send it across to you.
Yeah. You can let them know, hey, I get a new one of these that's updated every single week. I'm happy to send it to you as I receive it if that's of interest and value to you, for sure. That's a great strategy. You guys do know, oh, go ahead.
There was another, I shadowed for an agent once, and what she would do to get some information was all she needed was their first and last name. But you'd want to check, the do not call, because you can look people up just by their first and last name.
True. Ideally, it's best to get first and last name, phone number, and email, right? So that you can do that. You guys all know that you have access to an app, right? That's branded to you. It's your very own Keller Williams app. And if you go onto your command, let me see if I'm back here to my. All right. Can you guys see me right now? Can you see me? Okay. Oh, it's going to make me enter my information. Okay, in your command app, it's really cool. Up at the tippy tip top, there's your picture. If you click on your picture, it pulls down your profile, your My Business Card, or Share My App. So you can click that Share My App, and then ask them for their email address. Their email address and their name is instantly captured into your command database, and then they receive a text number from you so that they can have access to an app that is feeding them only information from Keller Williams. So it's like, I don't know if you guys knew this or not, and you can kind of explain it to your clients also. Like if they're using a Zillow or a Redfin app to search for homes, they get all of their information from an RMLS source. And then they sell that information if anybody's looking to the highest bidder. So agents pay for that information. So technically, when you are searching on Zillow or Redfin, then your information is automatically sold to the highest bidder. If you want to have an app that doesn't do that, use the Keller Williams app, because then it is specific to just like the only person that's notified if they're looking for something is you as the agent, right? So you're the only person that's notified about houses that they are liking. So that's if they're searching and they heart the house, then you're like, boom, I will receive a notification saying that you like the house. We can follow up with it that way. So just a fun little way that you can access, get information in that way. Okay. Any questions about that? Okay, next thing is pick the time and the theme. Okay, the time you choose for the open house is important. When you know your market well and have connected with it, picking the right time to host the open house should be simple. Open houses have been known to work in all markets at all dates and times. So know your market in order to drive the most traffic through your open house. Picking the time for your open house goes hand in hand with picking a theme. If you're having an open house on a Sunday afternoon during football season, well, then you should probably have the game scores or have the game on the TV ready to go, for example. So explain that a major theme of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book is to learn from the individuals that went before you. What open house themes have succeeded for agents that you know? Anybody have any experience with that? Open house themes that might be familiar? No, I had an agent that I shadowed when I was first starting, and she had her themes would change based on the feel of the home. So like there was one home where it felt like a bachelor pad, and so she like served beers and was just kind of like chill, right? It was like and it was a twilight open. So I don't know. Lots of people do lots of different types of themes. That was just one that I was kind of a unique one. I was with another agent one time, and he had hosted a food truck to come. Like he had some sort of connection with the food truck person and provided food from the like Euros to everybody who came to the open house. It was kind of very cool. It was a very busy open house too. And I think he walked away with like 3 leads from it, which is pretty awesome, which he closed on. So those 3 leads paid for the whole truck and then some. Like, it's kind of cool. Okay. Do you think that there are benefits to holding an open house at the same time as other open houses? Yeah. Yes, definitely, because you can attract people looking at other open houses in the neighborhood. A lot of people like to lump them together, right? Like boom, 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 boom. Sometimes you can have a open house hosted at a non-traditional time that would maybe attract clients that normally don't attend open houses because of scheduling conflicts. Anybody have any suggestions or ideas on what that might look like?
It's the evening time after work, so like 5 to 7.
5 to 7, good time right after work when people are driving home. If you're near a school and school's getting out at a certain time and you know what that time would be, then you're going to hit all the moms and dads walking home with their kiddos after school. Yeah, it's kind of a non-traditional time. You usually don't see open houses on a school day between, let's say, 2:45 or 4. Sometimes you can have a twilight open. I've seen those too, Fridays, 5 to 7. In your guys' experience, do you have a day and the weekend that works best for you?
Yeah, weekends are good.
Weekends are good.
Like Saturday, Sunday, 12 to 2, I feel the best time. People come out after their breakfast and just going for a walk.
Mm-hmm.
And if they see a board, definitely they can come in and see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's usually 2 chunks of time, right? Like a morning chunk from 10 to noon, and then an afternoon chunk from like 1 to 3 or something like that. That tends to be the standard. Mm-hmm. And the nice thing when you're searching the home, you can look in the neighborhood. You can look and see if there's other homes that are going to be held open at that time. So try to schedule it for the same time as, say, other open houses that are going to be hitting in the neighborhood so that you get more traffic. Okay. Let's go ahead and move to the next one. Or any questions about picking the time first? You?
Stacy, did you mean to be sharing your screen?
Yes. Is it not sharing?
No.
Oh, shoot. It was. Let's go back. Thanks for that. Okay, now can you all see it?
Yes.
Yes. Picking the time and the theme.
How come there's not that many open houses on the weekdays?
Because a lot of people, they've found that most people will go out to open houses during weekends.
So would
Not
you
always.
suggest not to do one on like maybe if I want to do like 4 to 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
kind
On a weekday.
on a weekday?
You can try it and see if it works for you. Like we were just talking about, sometimes it's okay to have like it might, if you have non-traditional times, you might be able to attract people that don't get to hit an open house. Let's say they work on the weekend and so weekdays are best for them. So you could try doing it that way. I personally have never done I've done a Friday night one, and then I've also done some Saturday and Sunday ones, but I've never done a weekday one. So report back to us and let us know how it goes.
Which ones worked best for you?
For me, I found the best results on afternoons on a Sunday and mornings on a Saturday. Those have been the busiest ones for me. The bummer though is sometimes if the house is like a really popular house and it's just open that weekend, if you have it on a Sunday, it'll probably be really busy, but it means less turnaround time because sometimes offers are due that like in a couple hours. And so a lot of open house people are like upset by that. But then you can use the dialogue practice. Like, would you like to be alerted ahead of time so that you're not in the situation of attending an open house, and then not being able to have enough time to write an offer or even think about it? Like, the advantage of working with me as your agent is I will be able to let you know about homes before they hit the market sometimes, or as they're hitting the market, so that you are not reactive. You can be proactive. So.
Can I ask what you usually supply at your open house? Like, do you bring munchies and waters and things, or do you
I
keep
always
it?
ask what the seller would be okay with. If it's summertime, I would do waters. I almost always have water available, just like little bottled water, because I know that people are always going to be hot. I found pre-wrapped things work really effectively for all people, just because they don't like sellers don't like messes in their homes, and having it pre-wrapped is a little bit more sanitary. So I had Hi-Chews, I just had a big giant bag of Hi-Chews I got at Costco, and that became my open house bag, and I kept it in my open house. bag that I carried with me to every open house, and then I would just put a little bowl of Hi-Chews out on the counter, and so sometimes that works. In the fall, I will get apple cider and then cook it on the stove, so it makes the whole house smell delicious and yummy. And then you can offer it to people if you'd like, in a little, warmed up cup and stuff. So you just need to make sure you bring in your own pot and your own ladle so that you're not using the client's stuff. So those are things that I've done in the past. I also have usually a basket of like pre-wrapped Oreos or Ritz crackers. You just never know what people are going to like or want. But I've seen the whole gamut of everything. I've seen people who've like gone all out and done like a charcuterie board. It just really depends on what you're willing to do. I'm very frugal. So I usually am like, what's the least amount of money I can put into this right now and still be professional? And there's sometimes where I don't do anything at all, like I just show up and I'm like, the goal is not to feed them. The goal is for me to provide them value in this open house. So
Thank you.
yeah, of course. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the next category. This is the pick the time. No, we just did pick the time. We are now on prepare the stats. Woo-woo. All right. If you've been practicing and connecting with and knowing your market and then gathering the stats for your open house, this part should be pretty fast. So helpful things to know about the neighborhood before hosting, local information about the schools, employment information, recreation nearby, traffic and commuting times. All of those are really good ways to do it. And a really good site to utilize that is RPR. At the bottom of every, let me go to RMLS. And I'm going to share my screen with you guys there. All right. If I have a house that I am showing or looking up, at the bottom of every listing, you guys can all see my screen now, right? With the RMLS, they have this RPR property stats and flyer. If you click that, it takes you to a new window, and it will give you all sorts of neighborhood data about this particular house. And it will give you a brief overview of what the RVM is, the real estate value or the value right there. But you can search by neighborhood and get information about the neighborhood. So this is a great way of getting research ahead of time as you're prepping and preparing. So, all right, back over here. Here we go. Okay, so other things that people might want to know about a neighborhood. Any ideas on what those might be? I kind of touched on it a little bit already, but if you guys have anything to add, we can.
So, Stacy, on RPR, where we went to see the property reports, it is
right over
I
here.
just missed
So you can click right here where it says neighborhood.
Okay.
It'll give you all sorts of stats and data about that neighborhood summary. So real quick way of looking at the neighborhood right there. And it gives you livability score, occupations of people who live in the neighborhood, nearby neighborhoods, all the things. It just breaks it down. So it's just a wealth of data and information. I like RPR for that reason.
Thank you.
Okay. Good questions. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Let's talk about safety. Agent safety is of the utmost importance. So it should be your top priority when you're hosting an open house because there are risks involved when you do host an open house. Using the buddy system is one of the best ways that you can make sure that you are hosting in a safe way, being there with somebody else. Now, you are not allowed to like have, let's say you're the listing agent, you're not allowed to have somebody who's not licensed host an open house for you or on your behalf. So don't do that. Just have to throw that in there. But you can bring in partners to help you. When I say partners, I mean like a lender partner or a title company or a home inspector, somebody, because it's a beneficial relationship. They can gain leads when you can gain leads, right? As long as you're able to do that. So buddy system is a great way. What I always did was I would send like a loved one, they would know where I was going to be, and I would send a check-in text every 15 minutes, just to say, yep, still here, still safe, right? Still here, still safe. And if they didn't receive the check-in text, they were supposed to give me a call. So that way everybody knows where you are and that you're still okay. I would park on the street. It prevents your car from being blocked in case you need to go for an emergency exit. You can notify the market center, and we have like there's something called a yellow or orange filed protocol. It's an orange file, where if you call the market center and then say, hey, I need the orange file that I left on my desk, we will know right away to call 911 to send them to that location. So that's just code for being able to be safe when you're in a home if you need to get access. Another way of ensuring that you are safe is to have somebody, like if something in your gut is saying, I don't like this, this is not right, never block off access. Always make sure that you have clear ways of getting out of a room. Follow people up a stair, never let them follow you. Make sure that you have a plan of an exit strategy anywhere that you go. Make sure that you have a fully charged cell phone. Sometimes you can be on the phone when that gut instinct is going, and then knowing that somebody's on the phone, they're less likely to take advantage of you. So use your cell phones. And so make sure that you do that. And then make sure that they're ahead of you. Explain to the participants to be familiar with your health guidelines about social distancing and masks, and also follow all those guidelines that are in place before you start. Turn on all the lights, do a walkthrough of the house when you get there. That's part of your 30 minutes before you arrive. Like, turn on all the lights. I go through and I spruce up the smell by dropping a dab of essential oil in all sinks. Usually it's an essential oil that smells like citrus, because that's a very fresh scent and it's very natural. So just something like that. Just do a little walkthrough. Any other safe practices you can think of for open house hosting? Anyone?
For some time, have my location on my phone.
You have your location? Yeah.
Yeah, I share with my husband sometimes, like when I go out in the area that I don't know, so I just turn it on for safety.
Mm-hmm. Some people will even, like if they get that gut feeling that something's wrong, they'll say, hey, for safety reasons or for security reasons, we have to have information. Like, I need to see your identification so that way you can take a picture of it. Like, they're less likely to do something to you if you have their data in that way, right? So that way they can be tracked later on. So, just smart safety things. I also, there are some things that you can carry with you and have. I attended a self-defense class for realtors one time, and the presenter provided like a whole list of things that you could buy. One of them was a taser. I have this flashlight that is supposed to like strobe flash, and that can distract somebody because it's like a really bright strobe light flash, and it can distract somebody while you get away. That's something that can be flashed in their eyes that can work, so just things like that. All right, we are ready for the aha section. Ahas. Anyone want to share their ahas this time?
Stacy,
Yes.
I was going to just say, I think a lot of it is just being aware. Don't get
Mhm.
lax, and just always be on top of being aware of what's going on around you when you're in that situation. So
Yep. Super helpful. Thanks, Sarah. Anybody else have any ahas from that last section?
I liked what you said about the apple cider vinegar and boiling it on the stove.
Mm. Yeah, it smells so good. It just, and everybody just smiles when they come in. Yeah, and not everybody drinks it, so you may leave with a whole bunch of apple cider vinegar, but that's okay. My family loves apple cider vinegar too. Or not vinegar, just apple cider. Sorry. Okay, we eat apple cider vinegar, but usually in a recipe, not just straight. Apple cider is delicious.
I sometimes feel like if we use like a candle or something in a home, and if it's an owner occupied home, I'm not sure, like after we left and they would mind that smell in their house, or
Yeah, I was gonna say you have to be really careful. Some people can be really sensitive to smells. So if you are gonna be bringing in a candle and asking to burn it, I would say don't. Bring in, like, say, a diffuser instead of a candle, because a diffuser tends to, um, not set off a smoke detector, and it's not a fire risk. You don't want to do anything that's going to risk the listings house, because you have no control over, like, if they have a kid that's going to like bump a table or something, and I would say don't do candles. Yeah, and I would 100% recommend that you stick with really natural smells. People don't like cloying smells. They start asking themselves the question, like, what are they covering up? So try to stick with the fruity, the citrusy, that type of stuff. Yeah.
I have a question, like
Okay.
an agent, and they asked like if I want to host, but it's a manufactured home. Like if I have no idea about that yet, like should I host it or should I just be like, oh, like it's not like what I have a knowledge of right now?
Mhm. It's up to you. Manufactured homes are certainly a very lucrative business. Like, the way that home prices have shot up, sometimes a manufactured home is all that first-time home buyers can afford. And so you might meet a whole bunch of first-time home buyers by doing that. If you do need tips on manufactured homes, I can shoot you an email. I had a compliance corner email about that one time. So I think it was before you joined. So yeah, happy to send that over to you if you need more information.
Yes.
But you can, in our brokerage, host and sell manufactured homes in park, because our brokerage holds a manufacturer in home park. It's not your real estate license number. It's a manufactured in home park number. So
But don't you have a license for that in order to sell?
the brokerage does.
Oh, okay, okay.
So we can oversee it, is what I'm saying. Yeah. So there are some differences, but it's not terribly difficult. It's up to you if you want to do that. Know that the prices are a whole lot lower than you would for a normal home. So you're going to get a different price point.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Will you send it to me too, or do you want us to email you or put our email in the
Yeah,
chat?
how about that? If
If
you send me, and let me type it, I'll type my email in there. All right, it's in the chat. So if you want to request that, I'm happy to shoot over my compliance thing. Although, Carrie, what market center are you out of?
I'm on a Sunset. I'm
Oh,
just
perfect. Okay, then
really far away.
that's fine, but it's just the different market centers have different numbers. That's all. So I want to make sure. So if you want the open house thing, then feel free to shoot me an email, and then that'll be my reminder to send it your way. I'll just forward it on. I've already typed it. agents have already gotten it. Might as well share the information.
Thank
All
you.
right. Okay, let's move on to the next section, which is where we are. We're now preparing, prospecting, pursuing. Is that it? Blank notes, prepare, prospect. Nope, never mind. Sorry. Okay, anybody want to read this one for me?
I will.
Okay.
The difference between big and really big is how you manage your time and focus.
I love that quote, and it's true. Spoken by our Gary Keller from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, which I highly recommend if you have the time to start reading through that. It's kind of like it just helps you lay your business out in a really obvious way. Okay, so we use prepare, prospect, and pursue model to approach your open houses. So these are the 3 steps: prepare, prospect, pursue. First thing, when we are looking at most of the work for the open house is done before the day of the open house. You can't just say, I'm going to host an open house and then show up on the day and be like, yay, I'm here to work and everything's going to happen for me. No, there are things that you must do ahead of time. And so your goal for the open house is to get appointments with active buyers and sellers. So to be at your best and achieve what you've set out for yourself takes preparation. So you schedule preparation time during the week before your open house so you can ensure that you capture leads and set appointments. You're going to spend more time preparing for the open house than you will be hosting the open house. You guys all understand that? If an open house is 2 hours, you should be preparing for at least 3 or 4, okay? You're going to be spending more time preparing than hosting. So prepare your mindset. It starts there. Set high and achievable goals. Remove limiting beliefs. Focus on your success and believe in yourself. Like, start with your mindset. Prepare your mind to be able to do that. Then you're going to practice conversations. So practice conversations for greeting people, answering questions, capturing contact information. All of that is like really good ways of preparing ahead of time. And like I said, even do it to the mirror, do it to your dog, do it to your kids, your loved ones, anybody that is willing to listen. Better yet, do it with a partner that you have, like an accountability partner within this program. Like there's a lot of you that could lump up together, and then that's your person that you guys practice these dialogues with on a daily. Okay, so ask yourself, how many leads do you intend to capture? How many appointments would you like to get from your next open house? Like, setting those types of goals really helps you be intentional. And remember, you're gonna have an opportunity to work on what that looks like. So keep that in mind. Okay, so the week before open house preparation. So in the week leading up to the open house, Monday, ideally select the house as early as Monday. Sometimes it can go till Tuesday, but try to do it earlier on in the week. On Tuesday, you're going to post online, walk the neighborhood, invite the neighbors to the showing. These things are going to help you maximize the potential client traffic at your open house. And it will involve posting online in the days leading up to the open house, because 93% of buyers use a website to find a house. So go where the people are. Post online about your open house. Make sure that you are consulting the TCPA guidelines and don't call people who are on the do not call list. But we would encourage you to call up to 100 people in the days leading up to an open house. That would be like a way that you can get that information is potentially reaching out to your title company and saying, hey, I'm hosting an open house here. I know that there are some title companies that provide a great open house packet to people who are hosting open houses. So, and some of that is providing data about who lives in the area that you can call. You're also going to get lots of good information from neighbors. You door knock ahead of time and you ask them, can you tell, like, I'm hosting an open house this weekend. Would love to have you come on down 3 to 5 on Sunday or on Saturday. But can you tell me what you love about this neighborhood so that I can be well informed in moving forward, and telling them what the people who are coming into the open house, what their neighbors say. And then there's just do you guys all have access to the participant guide that you guys were provided? Do you all have that? Because apparently there is a checklist for preparing for an open house. Let me see if I
Is
have
it this like what you're talking about, this Ignite booklet?
Yeah,
Right.
the Ignite booklet, and then it has a section in there that talks about preparing for an open house. We've done open house, and let me find it. It's on page. Oh, here it is, page 7.9. It's a checklist.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah,
We have-
good. That's a great reference checklist, guys. And it's literally like the to-do list on what you do every single open house that you host, right? So following this checklist is really going to be a way to help you get prepared ahead of time. We're all about systems here at Keller Williams. The more systems you have, the less brain power it takes for you to do it. You just like, oh, I got to do the next checklist. Great. I'm going to do the next one. Boom. And then you just go on all the way down. All right. Let's talk about the next slide. Okay. What clients like to know. Some things that clients like to know when they come to your open houses. We remind the participants that knowing the numbers of their market are going to help address things clients inquire about that are not on this list. So things like community and neighborhood information, relocation information, first-time buyer specifics, mortgage information. People that come to the open house intend to know community and neighborhood information. Remember, they're buying a lifestyle. So be a community service real estate expert by knowing your market, become familiar with the neighborhood, learn the name of the park down the street, the name of the restaurants in the area, study the neighborhood history, use the apps to your benefit. Anything else that might be useful to know about when hosting an open house? When you're thinking about the neighborhood, we kind of already talked a little bit about that. People often choose to move into growing areas. This is where neighborhood information is going to be important.
Like amenities of the neighborhood? Is that what you
Amenities
mean?
of the neighborhood, yeah. If you look at this list of what clients like to know, the community neighborhood information, the relocation information, first-time buyer specifics, or mortgage information, you guys should all have a list of lenders that you use and like to work with. And one of them should be a first-time home buyer specialist. As a Keller Williams agent, you have access to Keller Home Loans, which is not a program available to anybody other than people who work with Keller Williams agents. And they are really affordable lending program. They don't charge loan origination fees. And if you guys know anything about that, loan origination fees are 1 percentage price of a home usually. So that's thousands and thousands of dollars. Like if it's a $400,000 house, that's $4,000 that's not charged. And they usually give you $1,000 credit back. So I usually have a flyer about Keller Home Loans because that's a value add that you as a Keller Williams agent can offer to buyers. So having access to the lending side of things, because that's beyond your scope of expertise, really is helpful for other people. And that's just one tool that we have in our arsenal. Okay. Knowing financial and mortgage information is something visitors might ask about. And Keller Mortgage is a beneficial tool that you can grow their business. Many Keller Williams clients report being thrilled with the simplicity, savings, and service they received. I personally have had over 20 of my clients over the years use Keller Mortgage, and the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive with that process because it saves clients money. I had a client who was going to be buying a home. It was a condo. So she was a first-time home buyer, was really excited, my very first client. And I told her about Keller Mortgage, and we had, she's like, no, I have a lender. So she used that lender, and that lender said, no, you can't buy this condo. And so for whatever reason, they had some restrictions. And so they had already given her a quote on what her closing costs were going to be, et cetera, et cetera. We reached out to Keller Home Loans, and Keller Home Loans told my client, here's your closing costs. And it was, I kid you not, this is a first-time home buyer back 6 years ago. So it was a condo that was $300,000. And her savings was $6,000 less just by going with them as a lender. So when I say it really, really helps save clients money, like it 100% does. So $6,000 that she didn't have to bring to the table. She was thrilled. It's very exciting. Anyway, if you do use Keller Home Loans, though, you have to provide a disclosure saying that before any referral is made to Keller Mortgage. So the disclosure is something that just lets them know that they're an in-house lender. So yes, there's benefits, but they get a kickback. It doesn't cost the client anymore, but you just have to disclose that they're an in-house lender. That's all. Brush up on the home buying process. Open houses are a great place for first-time home buyers, and they will likely have a whole lot of questions. So get your visitors to download and use the KW app to leverage leads. And the more questions you'll be able to answer at the open house. And know that you don't have to know everything there is about mortgage information. You just have to know enough to get them started, like general interest rates or where they tend to be. The specific information you should definitely refer to a lender, though. Because remember, that's outside your scope of expertise. You don't need to do that. Okay, questions about what clients like to know? The mortgage information? Relocation, first-time buyers?
So let's say if I have a client that's interested in the program and I already introduced him to one of the lender, and like, what should I do?
What I always tell my clients is, listen, different lenders have different tools. And so I always, what I like to do is provide my clients with at least 3 names of lenders. And I say, shop around, figure out which one you are needing to, or which one's going to give you the best rate. That's it. Not best rate, best program, because every lender is going to offer something a little bit different. Yeah. Okay. Good question. So you can say, hey, feel free to do that, and try and seeing what the rate is there, especially if it's a first-time home buyer. They're going to appreciate that you save them money. Yeah. And be mindful. You're also trying to develop a relationship with your other lender partners, right? Because you want to be able to have multiple lender partners. And I let my lenders know, hey, I'm shooting you over a client that I told about you, but I also, like, you're one of 3 names. So I just wanted to let you know that they're going to be checking into other people too. But I put your name out there because I thought you would be able to help my client. So let them know. That just encourages the relationship between you and the lender. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the next thing. Prospect. All right, so when we are, if you read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, then you've heard of leads, listings, leverage. Open houses are all about leads, leads, and leads, and leads again. So an open house is a great prospecting tool that requires mostly time as an investment. So let's look at ways that you can use open houses to prospect. An important part of an open house is to build trust and rapport with the foot traffic that visits a house. Ways you can do this: greet everyone that comes in the door, even the kids. And they say, they even have here, and the dog, but don't let dogs into your open house. That's not good. Ask visitors, what brought you in today? Are you looking for a home in this neighborhood? Have you been looking at other houses? Would you like to know more about the market or neighborhood? What do you like about this house that I may share with others? Be positive, be upbeat. Remember, clients are thinking about their futures and lifestyles, so be a positive force in their imagination. it's important to meet people where they are. So if visitors don't seem interested in engaging with you, match their energy and just let them be. Sometimes I like to ask, like, how far have you driven to join us today? Right? That gives you a little bit of an idea about them. That's an easy one that they can answer. I sometimes will ask the people that come into my open house, so how long have you been looking? That's a really good question. It also gives me a little clue into what they've, if they're working with somebody also, right? Okay, but be positive. Okay, during an open house, it is important to demonstrate and provide value. This is another big one. You can do this in several ways, and the most obvious is to know your numbers. Know your stats, know your market center stats, know how many days the house has been on the market, the price, the number of houses sold in the neighborhood, and for what price. Understand personality types and conversation styles of different people. Did they engage with you when you greeted them? Mirror their behavior and match their energy and their levels of interest. Do you guys know the DISC assessment, the DISC? Anybody familiar with that?
Just a little bit from one of our classes we had the other day.
What'd you say?
Oh, there was a lady that we watched the other day who's like one of the top ladies on RMLS. She kind of talked about what those meant a little bit.
Yeah, the DISC assessment is awesome because it is one of those things that gives personality types, and it basically says, you know, like high Ds, they tend to be the sharks, the drivers, the lawyer mentality, like cut to the chase, just business, boom, boom, boom. The I's, they tend to be very interpersonal. The S's are very emotional, and then the C's, those are your data people. And so you're going to hit all of these people in all different ways, and you probably have one of those or two of those that you're really high on. It's important to kind of gauge somebody's personality so that you can start talking their language a little bit. With high C's, like I said, it's really easy to meet their need for data when you have all the data already printed. Like you'll know right away because they just go straight to that data and they want to talk numbers. Sometimes your emotional people, your high C's or S's, they're going to come in there and be like, oh, the feel of this house is just wonderful. I love the way it flows, or it just feels so cozy in there. Like, then you know that they're going to be the more emotional type of people. So knowing the personality type is super helpful. So understanding those personality types and then mirror and matching them really helps you as well.
Makes sense.
If you haven't done the DISC assessment, I recommend that you do it so that you just get a little clue into yourself, because it might surprise you what your personality type is. Because every personality type has advantages and disadvantages and ways that you can maximize on the strengths within that. So it's a really fun test to do. So recommend in your spare time, which we know you all have tons of, right? All right, so let's see. I think I am now on to, I lost my place. Oh, I found it. Found it again. All right. Capture information and qualify leads. So this is still part of the prospecting. So we recommend that before, during, and after an open house, make sure you capture information and qualify your leads. Several ways you can do this. Have a sign-in sheet. Use command. Use the KW app. Ask questions, like probing questions, like the who, the what, the where, the when, because those are going to help you get down into the nitty-gritty of what the client is looking for. And remember, you're here to get leads and appointments. So ask for their business and referrals. Don't be attached to the outcome, right? So it's okay to say, I'd love to earn the opportunity to work with you. That's fine. Sometimes we miss out on an opportunity because we don't ask, and the person might have a really good connection with you and they want to work with you, but they just don't know how to make that happen. That's your job to make it happen. So don't be afraid to ask for their business. And when you do these 5 things and you do them well, it's going to help you achieve success when you are hosting open houses. Boop, boop. Did I already do that? Provide value. I lost my place. Bloop, bloop. All right, here we go. Next. Pursue. All right. So you've prepared, you've successfully hosted, you got some leads. don't just leave it there, guys, and then assume that everything's going to work out. You have to actually pursue. Okay, so remember the goals of the open houses are to generate leads and sell houses. So make sure that you follow up and convert your leads after an open house so your time investment pays off. So you have to pursue your leads, reconnect with all of your visitors. It's a good practice after the open house to immediately update your database with contact information, notes, tags, smart plans, neighborhoods. So make sure that while it's still fresh in your mind, you are able to do that. Let me show you what that looks like. All right, you're all on my command screen, yes? When you have inputted their information into contacts, it's super helpful, and you can add in all of the information that you gained right away. You can mark it as a lead source. You can tag it as an open house. Where's my open house? All the way. Boop. So you can tag it as an open house and then immediately set them up on a smart plan. A smart plan is something that is going to help you. It's this little toggle switch right here. In Keller Williams, we have a plethora of information about smart plans. And one of them is an open house follow-up that is super duper helpful. Open house follow-up right here. So I would add that to your library and then get started there. So really, really, really good way of setting up a follow-up plan that does things. So it will remind you to send a text immediately. Then you wait 2 days and you send an email. Then you wait a day and then you send or make a phone call and you send another text on day 7. And then on day 11, you make a call and then you send a text on day 14. And then you add them to a long-term nurture. You won't have immediate success with open house follow-up until you followed up. What are the numbers? I think it's 11 times. So anywhere between 7 to 11 follow-up touches. And then the person will either be like, don't ever contact me again, in which case don't ever contact them again. Or they're going to be converted into a client. So don't be afraid to be persistent and do it in a variety of ways. Text, email, phone call. Okay. So immediately connect them. I like to send an immediate text after the open house is over, and I've sent my follow-up sheet to the person I hosted the open house for. Then I immediately send out a text to say, thanks so much for coming to the open house. I wanted you to have my contact information. This is who I am. Maybe a picture of myself or a video of myself waving and saying, hi, this is Stacy Coy. Here's my contact information. So glad you came to the open house. Whatever it is, send it so that way you are immediately following up with that person. Okay. If they wanted you to find out some information and it was your job and you said, yes, I will get that information to you, find it from the listing agent and then immediately get back to them. But it's really important that you don't stop contacting them because like I said, if you're persistent and you are doing the follow-up, then you are going to have the results of being able to have those leads that come up in the future. So 11, are you guys surprised by that number? I was. Yeah. When I heard 11, I was like, you're kidding. Because sometimes people like, I followed up, check, I'm done. And you've texted once. And maybe that person is driving and then they won't ever follow up again. So you want to make sure that you are following up at least 11 times. Any ahas? Wait. That's not supposed to be the next slide. Plan an open house. Oh, ahas. There we go. Any ahas from this last section? Insights? When you repeat back what you just heard, it goes into your brain and it sticks longer.
I liked the open house follow-up in commands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it too. And it makes it systematized. If you set them up on a smart plan right away, boom.
I like how you share your videos. I might do that too.
Oh,
When you
good.
send them a video,
Mhm.
it feels different, I think.
I think so too. And make it super short. Like, hey, it's me. So glad we met. And then that way they can put a face to your name.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. You can even have a standard video just living in your photo library that it's the same one and you just shoot it out each time. That's part of your procedure that first time.
Or maybe if the traffic's not that good, then maybe I can film a video at that exact house.
Oh, excellent. Yes. Don't let that time go to waste. When I am not actively meeting somebody who's walking through the open house, if there's dead time, like I am using that time to follow up with past people I've met in open houses, right? I'm using that as a prospecting time. So I never let the time go to waste. So even if there's nobody in the open house, I'm still working during that open house because I'm following up and being intentional about my follow up. Or I'm putting in the people who I met earlier from that same open into my contacts in Command into my database and then setting them up on a smart plan and then doing it right then and there. That way, when I leave the open house, I'm like, yep, did it, done, moving on. Yeah, anything that's going to help make your life easier is always the better way to do it. All about easier working, not harder, right? I guess I can share this one thing with you guys. I hope this doesn't overwhelm anybody, but when you have an open house, like if you've added to your smart plan, the open house, here's this open house follow-up one, and you come over here to edit. Right over here is this wonderful thing called add trigger tags. It's right on the right-hand side, and you click that. And if I'm setting up an open house follow-up plan, anybody who's tagged as an open house contact, they're automatically going to be set up on my open house follow-up smart plan. So I don't even need to do it. It's fabulous. And then the other thing that's kind of cool is I can go through and I can edit I can edit the things that are in here and customize them to be me in my voice and the way that I would want to say it. So, but if you see this where these things in parentheses, it will autofill from Command. So you don't need to do anything about that. It'll be like, hey, so-and-so, thanks for coming by. What'd you think of the open house? Or you can change it to be whatever you want it to be. So I love smart plans because they make your life so much easier. So much easier. Okay, so I'm going to come back over here and let's talk about a recap. So today we got to talk about all the bullet points from today. We went through benefits of an open house. We went through open house best practices, and we went through the prepare, prospect, and pursue and how that works. What we didn't do that I want to just briefly really jump into is I have an open house bag, and I bought this bag, and it's this giant little tote thing that I use for every open house. And it has my sign-ins in there. It has toilet paper because sometimes you gotta go. It has my essential oils. It has scissors. It has those plastic things that I can put my flyers into that I've printed up, or holds all the different data things that I have that I set up into the kitchen. It has business cards. I always have wet wipes. What are some other things in there? Paper towels, a little dustpan, and a dust kit. Those are super helpful to have too. But that way, when I am heading out for an open house, I just grab the tote and then I'm gone. I know what I need to do. It has a notebook in there so that I can keep notes and write them down as I'm meeting people. It's just a really great way that I keep things together. So, anybody have something similar, like a little tote that they use or would use? Highly recommend.
Stacy,
Yes.
do you provide your own booth? Like if I was to go do an open house for somebody else, do I
Mhm.
provide like the booties and welcome
So-
signs? Like how much of that is me bringing it with me?
That's a great question, Sarah. Usually a listing agent will have booties and things provided from a title company, but I always keep extras in my bag because there could be no booties there, and you're in charge of keeping that house clean, right? When people go through. So I reach out to my title reps and I say, hey, I'm going to be hosting a lot of open houses. Can I have some booties? And then they just give
So
them to you.
where do I get those from?
Your
Is
title
there like
reps.
a okay.
So here's what I would recommend. We have.
How do I build my box?
No, we have. What I want you to do when you're first starting is develop a relationship with your lenders and develop a relationship with your title companies, because you won't be utilizing them as a service until you bring them business, as in you have a listing, right? But they know that, and they know that they're investing in that future partnership. So they have a lot of tools that are provided for realtors that you can plug into. And so meet with a bunch of different title reps. You know, choose one each week and then like go and see who has the best product that's offering for you. I have 2 title companies that I use, and I'll flip flop depending on because each of them has a different type of vibe. And so depending on my client, which one is going to fit best with that title company. So yeah, I'd recommend getting to know them. So there are title companies everywhere, but we have like some major ones that really do a lot to partner with our market center. And so we've got Lawyers Title, Old Republic, WFG, Ticor, First American. Like those are 5 that rotate through. They're the ones that provide our CE courses. And I would recommend meeting with all of them and seeing what they have to offer, because you're going to find that it's a plethora of information for new agents. And each of them have different things. So it's awesome.
Where do we get
one
that
title
list
company
from?
was like, hey, we'll do a social media audit for you. And I was like, fabulous. Tell me what I need to do to improve my social media presence. Great. Do it. Another one's like, yes, we have an open house packet that you can call and we will provide for you, and it's printed. And others are like, here, I've got mailing labels for you. Or, I mean, they just all have a wealth of information. So does that help, Sarah?
Where do I get those lists from?
You can
Are
come
they
and
on
see me.
command?
I've got their numbers if you want them.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's everything, guys. We recapped all the stuff. You guys have any other questions? Because we've got like 9 minutes left.
Does the title company provide the open house bag for every open house that you host? Can they do that?
Yeah. I mean, that's where you get to talk to your title company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's say if I host like 4 every week, would that?
Then I'm sure they would. You know, like sometimes you're not going to need all of the things that they're providing, but they have a way of pulling neighborhood data for you. And then you have like a flyer of neighborhood data. You're like, ta-da, look at this beautiful thing that I didn't have to create. Hooray.
I see.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty great. But yes, you should definitely get in touch with your title company and start meeting and having discussions with them. And I would recommend a sit down one-on-one with your title company people, because they're the people that you're going to go to when it comes time for listings, and they are really good at providing value to you as an agent. So it's awesome. And fun fact, they come every 2 weeks into Sunset Corridor anyway, and once a month into Capital City. And I don't know how often they do it in the South, but I'm sure it's probably at least once a month. And they provide a CE class that they bring lunch for. So yay. So they have a budget for this type of stuff. That's what I'm saying. All right. Anybody else? Y'all feel good? Okay, you get 7 minutes back of your day. Make sure that you promise to use it very productively.
Thank you, Stacy.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.